Hello and welcome to my knitting podcast. My name is Irma and you can find me on YouTube, Ravelry and Instagram as Wolwerkjes. There is a groups tab on Ravelry for this podcast, and in future there will be giveaways and knit-alongs will be hosted over there. But for now there's not that much to see there. But please join if you want to introduce yourself. For now, that's the only introduction I have, I think. As I said, welcome everybody. I hope you have a nice summer, because we're in the middle of summer now. It's a little bit more chilly, not chilly, it's a little bit normal temperatures over here now. Last episode it was around 40 degrees and it was way too hot for me, at least. I think now it's a little bit above 20, and yeah, I think that's okay. The only thing is it's a little bit like rainy and cloudy at the moment, which isn't that bad because I think nature needs water here at the moment, so that's fine. It's not raining all day, so good enough. As I said, it's a knitting podcast, so I'm here mostly to talk about my knitting, but I will also show you other crafts if I have done any of those in the last period. For now, let's start with the knitting. Normally I show my what I'm wearing. I'm not wearing any knitwear today, just didn't feel like it. So normally we go to finished objects, but I don't have those, I think. No, I don't have finished objects. Last episode I had a lot of finished objects, and most of the times that means that there will be less finished objects the one afterwards. But that doesn't really matter. I enjoyed my knitting and I will show what I have been working on. There is one project that I didn't take here to show you, but it is a project I worked on, and it was my Cozy Memories blanket. I showed you last time and how I take notes in my printing journal notebook, and I think I did 2 or 3 squares after I showed it, and I'm not gonna show it every time. I think I will show it again when I finish the first row, so you can see how wide I'm planning to make it, but that's a project I don't have here. I have other projects lying around, and I will start with one you have already seen before, but it has been some time. And it is a pair of socks I'm knitting on. It's the yarn I dyed myself. I was trying out some micro striping. I already finished one sock, so you can see. I was lazy. I wanted to know how many centimeters or inches you need for one round of stitches on a sock. And I could have just knit a row and then rip it out and measure how much it is, but I was lazy. I looked it up on the internet. I want an approximate, of course, because when you knit a tighter gauge or you use more or less stitches depending on your foot size, everybody needs more or less yarn. I wanted an approximate amount of centimeters for one round of stitches, and I googled it, but it was wrong amount. It wasn't right. I needed more centimeters to make one round, and my feet are quite small, I know, so it was really wrong. But this is the already finished one. It was a half finished object once, and then I put the socks aside for quite a while, but I knit on it again, and I'm past the heel flap and gusset. I did all the gusset creases, so now it's only knitting round and round and round until I am at the toe. and I really enjoy those colors together. I do want the microstriping to go different, but that will be something I have to work on, and yeah, it is a fun thing to do. So, and I'm really happy I picked it up again, because I forgot how much I like knitting socks on DPNs. I started out with DPNs a long time ago. I think my sister and I think 5 or 6 years ago, my sister and I were like, we're going to knit socks. But we didn't know what to use, and we didn't know which size of needles we liked, and we have never heard of knitting in round with magic loop or with small circumference needles. We didn't know it existed because our grandma and great grandma always knit her socks on DPNs, so that is what we know. And I started on it, and it was horrible in the beginning, like leathering in between the needles, and it was really bad. And I put it aside for quite some time, but I'm a way better knitter now, and I did my first pair of socks was with a magic loop, and that went pretty well. And then I tried the small circumference needles. I'm not quite sure yet if I like that, and it has to do with the way I hold my needles. And I will see if I can show you. I use my hand to stabilize the needles. So when I'm knitting, my pinky is behind this needle, and I don't use this one that much, but especially my right hand, I lock the needle with my pinky. And in the small circumference needles, you only have like this much of a tip, so I don't have the space to do that. And that was a problem for my hands, but I think when I train myself, maybe it will be okay. But and I thought, well, maybe I should try the DPNs again, and I really love it. So I ordered more. These are the Knit Pro Zings, and they're way better than the needles I had, because the ones I had were, first of all, the wrong size. They were 2.5 millimeters, and I knit my socks on 2 millimeters. But it was also like a rough surface, and I like a little bit more slippery needle. And those points are they're aluminum, I think. And the tips are quite smooth. This is a little bit more not really scratchy, but it has a little bit more texture to it. But on DPNs you need it kinda, but because you don't want your needles to fall out of your knitting. So I'm really happy with those needles. And I don't know, but I don't think you can see the lines in between the needles anymore. So for everyone who is struggling with DPNs, you will get there. It will get easier, and don't get frustrated by it. Just keep on trying, keep on knitting, and you will find it. One thing I try to learn myself is you don't want a gap, and the thing you start doing is knitting the first stitch and the last stitch on your needle tighter, because you want them to close that gap. That doesn't work. Just try to keep your tension even, and then it will work out fine. So don't try to change anything different on your tension. Just try to keep it stable, and then it will work out. Because when you're going to change the tension on your yarn, it will only make things look strange in the end. So that's my advice for double pointed needles. I don't think I will go back to magic loop that soon. Maybe when I really want to knit 2 at a time. I knit sleeves of the sweater ones 2 at a time on with magic loop, and that can be really easy. But with socks I like to knit them apart. I don't know why. I think it's because you have When you're halfway, you're finishing something. The first sock, you're halfway. But when you knit 2 at a time, at that point you're, I think, just past the heel maybe. Yeah, I think maybe it's more encouraging me to knit more. I don't know. I think it's nice to have a finished sock halfway when you're knitting on them. I don't know, that's just my thing, but I took them out again and I really like it. And I have another pair of socks waiting to be knitted, and I think I will change them to the GPNs as well. So I will first finish this pair and then I will use the needles on the other pair of socks. And I know people say that's dangerous because your needles define a lot of the gauge of your knitting, but I think in a sock I'll be fine. It's not like I switch halfway through a sweater or it's on my feet. It's not that visible, and I think I only started to cuff, so no one will notice that I changed needles on that other pair. I really love these needles, and I think I will finish it sooner when I'm knitting on these instead of the magic loop method with a circular needle. So that's a lot of talking about a pair of socks that I started on again. Let me see what I have laying around as well. I will first do the knitting and then I will show you the other things I have lying around. I have knit quite a lot on my calla shawl, which was hibernating a bit because I needed my brain space for a test knit I did, but that's finished now, so my brain space can go back to this pattern. I can't show the whole thing because I use a smaller, it's 1 meter cable, I think, so that's not really a small cable, but it's way smaller than the width of this shawl will be. It's the outside edge where the point is going to be, where the cable is. So I can't show the shape at all of the shawl that good, but I will try to show you some of the details. It's a broken rib stitch, which I really enjoy to knit, and I like the effect of the stitch a lot. And there are cable bits in there with this pattern, which is the shape of a calla flower, which I really like. And as I said before, it's really 3D. There are kind of holes in your, not holes like buckets in your knitting, cups in your knitting, where the flowers are, and I really like that. There are, excuse me, I'm dropping stitches. The way this shawl is constructed is really clever, and Natasja Hornby, the designer of this pattern, finds it really important that all transitions between textures and parts of a shawl or project are fluid, like they have to be that way. It's not like, oh, there's a line that's a little bit strange. No, everything just is the way it should be, and that makes it a really fun thing to knit. There are 2 parts of the cable pattern in the shawl, and at this moment I'm going to start the last part, which also will be the border. And I'm a little bit afraid I might not have enough yarn. This is how much I have left of my second to last skein. So I have this and another skein to finish the last bit, including the cast off. Cast off always takes quite some time, and I think this one is doing some kind of picot bind off, which will take even more yarn. And there will be like 3 or 4 rows of the cables at the edge. And I don't know if I can show, I think I can show you. Here you can see how much I can knit with one skein. This is where I joined in a skein and this is where that ended. And that, because my rows are getting really long, that's not really that much. And I knit this on the new skein. And now I have to start the cables again. And I have, I think, 1.5 skein to knit the last bit. And in my head, I'm telling myself it will be enough. I did calculations for the yardage. And I think it will be enough. But it's quite scary when you have so much knitting to do and you're not quite sure, because it also can be like, maybe I think I'm knitting in a looser gauge. I use a different yarn and it's a little bit thicker, so I also used a bigger needle to make it comfortable to knit, and also the fabric I wanted. So I'm not sure, guys. Maybe I will have a really big problem, because this is yarn made from a sheep breed from an island here in Holland. They also have the sheep breed outside of the island, I think. But this yarn comes from the island in Holland, and they number the it's the natural color of the sheep, but sheep change in color each year. So when they spin the yarn in the mill, they put the date and the batch on there, so all the skeins in that batch will be the same color. But I'm not sure if I can get exactly this batch again. I'm not sure if that's still around, because it was, I think, 2015 maybe, and I bought the last few skeins in the shop. So I really would have to look for it. And I was thinking, well, it's on the edge, so when it's a little bit different in color, it doesn't really matter. But it would be nice to have the same color. But I'm still hoping I will have enough to finish it. But it will be tricky. So I hope I will finish it. It's a lovely knit. I really recommend it. It's beautiful. And I think it will be even more beautiful when I block it. It is way too warm to wear it now. I think it will be nice to have it like a, instead of a coat in autumn, maybe. We will see, but it's really lovely. So I've been knitting on that. Now we'll put it back, because my cat, which is a sweetheart, but he wants to get our attention by sliding things off closets and stuff. So he's just on top of something and there's like a pen laying there, or a wooden piece lying there, and he is just with his paws pushing it off. And you can see him here now. He's really trying to annoy me because he wants my attention. but he cannot always get my attention. So that's the thing. Hey Whisky, kom eens hier schat. Kom maar, dan kom je erbij liggen gezellig. He's so sweet, but sometimes I think we should get him a playmate. But yeah, we will see. We will see. So I hope he won't attack my knitting when he's lying here. I can try to show you. Oh, he's so gorgeous. So we will see. Okay, I have one other knitting project to show you. It's a new cast on, and I think a lot of people who have seen the podcast before can guess which one it is. But before I show you, I want to say I could have been way further along than I am, and I would have had way more to show you, but apparently I can't read. I cast on Vertices Your Night by Stephen West, and I posted some pictures on Instagram as well, and I think people who know the pattern and looked at these pictures will have seen that I made a mistake, because I did the decreases in the first half of the first part totally wrong, and I only noticed it when I finished the first part and want to try to pick up the stitches for the second part, and that didn't work out. I was way off in stitch count, and then I look back at the pattern and I just did it completely wrong. It's not a difficult pattern, it's not difficult at all. It's really fun how everything is constructed and how he finishes off his edges, and it's really a beautiful pattern, but it's not difficult, and I did it completely wrong. So I can only show you this much now. I love how those two colors work together. It is one of the yarns is by the Danish Dye Lot, which is this bluish brownish color, and the other one is by, I will put the name of the dyer underneath, I can't remember by heart, but it's this yarn, and they're really beautiful together, which I hoped, but it's always fun to see that it really worked out. So yeah, but I'm not halfway through the first part yet because I had to rip it all out, which was so sad to do. It's okay, you know, I like to knit on these things during watching some telly in the evening, so it's not like I feel I lost time or something, but it's really bad. I'm not going to say how the pattern is written. The only thing I can say is I did the increases way faster than the pattern called for, and as I said, I only noticed it when I was finished with the first part, so too bad. And it's funny because normally I'm quite precise in reading a pattern, and I don't wanna. Most patterns I read, I can find like little bugs, like inconsistencies or things like that, and I'm quite a precise reader when I'm knitting because I don't want to rip back, I don't want to do it wrong. And I think because I was so focused on the test knit that this was like an easy project afterwards, and I was so excited. I think that's why I didn't read it well. Not a good excuse, I know, really bad. But yeah, I think that's why I did it wrong. And luckily I noticed, and I'm very happy with working on this pattern. I can show you 2 other colors that will be joined in the second part of the pattern, and that will be these 2, and I'm really like, I think it will be fun, but it's way different than this piece is looking at this moment, so we will see how it all works out. What the fun thing is with Vertices Unite is you pick out 5 colors, and when you have those 5 colors and you have the pattern, you're going to look which color is coming where, and they give you like each color is a letter, so you have color A, B, C, D, E, and for each section they say you need color A and B or C and D, and that's the way it's written, and it's for you to decide which color it is which letter. So I made, and I didn't think of this myself. I know a lot of people have made this drawing when they made this shawl. So I drew the shapes of the parts, and I wrote the letters next to it, which color should be used, and then it was like a puzzle which color is going to be where. And I had a few rules for myself. There were I knew which color I wanted for the border, so that was easy. I knew which color I didn't want to be like a solid, because some of the parts are just knit in one color, and I knew which colors I didn't want in those spots, so that was a thing. And I knew which colors I really would like to combine with each other, and in that way this was the only way I could do that all. So that is really fun to do. It's a really fun project to plan. And that's why the blue and the orange are in the next part together, and I think it will be fun. They're like complementary colors. They're in the opposite part of the color wheel, so that's yeah, that will be interesting. And I think with the rest of the scarf growing, or the rest of the shawl growing, it will be okay that they are together in this part. We will see. So that's something I worked on, and could have been quite further along, but it is how it is. I think those are all my knitting projects. I did a little bit of crochet, and as when you follow me on Instagram, you will have seen them already. There's one color missing at this moment because I already used some, and I'm not going to show you, like, okay, I will just show you. Those are facial scrubby things, and I looked at different free patterns, and I made my own adjustments, so it's not like a copy of one free pattern. I'm quite confident in my crochet, so I did a little bit of adjusting things and adding things, but they're quite fast to make. I think I need 10 minutes without weaving in ends, so a little bit more than 10 minutes for one. And as I said, I already used some. There's also going to be like the darker green. And they are leftovers from a blanket I once made. I don't think I have it anymore. But yeah, they were leftovers and they were just lying around, and I thought, yeah, well, maybe this is a good idea. And they're working really, really well. I'm really happy with them. And I have to make a lot more because you use quite some every day, because I clean my face in the morning. So that's one. And then I clean my face in the evening, but then I use different cleaning things, like fluids. I don't know how to say that. I use different products for cleaning my face in the evening, so that it will take 2. So I need 3 every day, and I don't want to wash them like every day. I will throw them in with another wash. So I will need quite some more to make it work every day, but it's fun to do and I'm really happy, and I think it will be a really nice, maybe not in these colors, but it will be like a really nice package to give away to someone for a birthday or just for the fun of it. So that's really fun, and because it only takes like 10 minutes, it's really easy to just do when you're having a cup of coffee or when you just need like 10 minutes sitting down time. It's really, really fun. So that's another thing I worked on. And I'm looking here, like I did some spinning. I did a few things. I wound off my drop spindle with the light blue yarn. And as I already told you in the previous episode, when I was plying, I noticed that the amount of spin in the singles was not good in every place, so my yarn broke a few times. So I got off 2 kind of bigger skeins, and I think I like the color a lot more now it's in a skein. I think it was a good choice to keep it one color and not plying it with another color. And I have like 2 smaller ones and 2 really small nuggets of yarn. Maybe it's just what I need to finish off something, you know? So I'll just save it, and yeah, we will see what it will become. I was thinking of maybe getting it through my spinning wheel to give it a little bit more twist in the ply, because the plying was quite loose. But I really love how it's looking. The only thing is that you lose also some spin when you set it. But maybe I will use a really gentle set, like only washing it a little, and not like slapping it, or how you call that, I don't know how you call it, but there are different ways to even out the twist. But I think it only maybe needs a little bit of a washing, and in that way you keep a lot of the twist you have in the yarn. So we will see, but I do have to do something with it, because when you knit with it in this way and you need to wash your finished garment, it can be really transforming. It can change really a lot because you didn't finish off your yarn before you knit with it. So that's the thing with hand spun, and I'm not sure yet how I'm gonna do it, but I don't think I will take it through my spinning wheel again, because I really like that I did it on a drop spindle and I want to keep it that way, and I'm not going to twist it again on the drop spindle. That is just too much time consuming, so we will see how it works out. But that was fun to do, and it's also always fun how colors can change from the fiber to the spinned yarn, and then from the yarn twist it into a skein and the color will change again, and that's really fun how that can be so different. So I'm really pleased with this one. And I did a little bit of more spinning. I have the fiber here, but I'm not going to take it down because I think the cat will dive into it, because I am spinning the Gotland. I took it off from the spinning wheel. I don't know if it will focus. I got Gotland fiber on a market. It was the weaving market in Hoorn. It's a place in Holland. And they had really good value Gotland fibers lying there. And I want to spin yarn for a cardigan. And it smells quite sheepy, so it is washed and all the dirt is out, but it still smells quite sheepy, and the cat really likes the smell of sheep apparently, so when I have that lying around he will just dive into it. I have a little bit of the yarn over here. I'm trying to spin it really thin. I don't know if you can see it. It's hard to see that on the bobbin because it's so fluffy. That's just how Gotland fibers are. So on the bobbin it just looks like one grey mess. But I try to spin it really thin, and it's a really good fiber to spin really thin. And I think I'm going to make a 3-ply. I don't know if you can see. This is when you apply 3 of the strands together. And then it's, I think I have around the fingering weight yarn, so that's nice. The reason I have like this bit not on the bobbin but ripped off is because we had guests over and they have children, and my children know that my stuff is something you don't touch. But I can't expect other children to know that. So I thought I removed everything they're not allowed to touch out of the downstairs area, and I think I did, but my spinning wheel is in the hallway and the toilet is in the hallway. So they walked to and from the toilet a couple of times, and when they left I noticed that they messed up my spinning wheel. So I have a spinning wheel with pedals you can flip up because it takes less space that way, and they were flipped down. And my tension thread, I have a Scottish tension, so you have there's going a string over the bobbin, and it was off and attached in a really strange way. Luckily nothing was broken or anything, but it was like, oh, they tried it, but they could have asked, then they were allowed to try, but they just tried it and it didn't work out, and they tried to fix it. So I lost a little bit of my fiber, and I was a little bit sad. But when I don't have enough because of this, I didn't bought enough fiber, so it's not that bad. But it was like when you see a spinning wheel messed up, you're not sure how messed up it is. It can be quite scary because you put a lot of time in it, and it is like, oh no. So, but it turned out to be okay, and yeah, it will be just fine. And I now know that I need to put it upstairs when other children are visiting. The way I spin this, because of Gotland already fluffs up so much. I don't want to spin it really like a woolen yarn. So what I do is when I have the, I can show you. I will just have to be careful the cat is not going to eat it. When I have my roving, I'm not sure if it's roving or top, or it's really hard to see. I think it's roving. When I have my roving over here, I just take the top part of the fibers and I pull, and this is what I will spin. And I think most of the fibers will be in the same direction this way, so I get a little bit more worsted spun. Not quite, but a little bit more. And it's really like easy amount to hold in your hand, and it's really giving a really nice thin yarn when I spin this way. And you can see how long the fibers are of a Gotland sheep, because this is just one staple length. I can't split this anymore. This is one staple length. It's gorgeous. It's really, really gorgeous. And I can't wait to spin on it again. I have to say, it's a little bit hard to spin this while watching TV, because I really want to make it a constant thickness. And yeah, I need to focus a little bit more on it. But it's really lovely. And I think, as you can see, there's a lot of variation in the grey. It almost goes to white in some spots and almost to black in some other spots. I think it will be a really, really beautiful cardigan when it is finished. So that's nice. This is just 1/3 of the fiber. I split it in 3 equal parts. So I will have a lot of spinning to do before it's finished. But that's alright. I put it back now. So I think those were all my projects those past 2 weeks. Yeah, I don't really have anything new planned already. I'm thinking I want to make some roving for myself, for my drop spindle. I do have some leftover fibers, and I think I have a blending board, and I think it would be nice to try and make roving myself instead of a rowleg. So that's something I want to do, but I'm not quite sure when I'm gonna do it. And I don't have any new projects planned now, I think. I think I'm just very happy with all the projects I'm working on. So I hope you enjoyed watching. If you want to get in touch, just leave a message under the video, or follow me on Ravelry Instagram and you can drop me a message over there. And I will see you in 2 weeks. Bye!